You're listening to the Inbound Logistics Podcast with today's guests, Robin Knopf and Leo Qvarnstrom of Kuehne Nagel. With supply chain disruptions becoming more the rule rather than the exception, shippers are looking for solutions that are more cost-effective, agile, and reliable. While sea air is not a new solution, it has become a more attractive one for its potential savings in time, money, and carbon emissions. What should businesses know about leveraging the sea air solution for their supply chain? Robin Knopf and Leo Qvarnstrom of Kuehne Nagel give us their takes on why any business can take advantage of sea air. Joining us today on the Inbound Logistics Podcast, we have Robin Knopf, Global Head of Sea Air Product, and Leo Qvarnstrom, Director of Sea Air Logistics and Air Sustainability for North America from Kuehne Nagel. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining the Inbound Logistics Podcast today.
Hey, Jeff. Thanks for having us.
Excellent. It's great to have you both. Looking forward to our conversation today. Before we start, can I ask you gentlemen to introduce yourselves to our audience and give us a little bit about your background and what you're doing currently with Kuehne Nagel. Robin, I'll ask you to kick us off, please.
Yeah, I'm Robin Knopf, based in beautiful Munich, Germany. I've been in the industry over 15 years now, holding different positions in operations, sales, business development, and senior management. I've been with Kuehne Nagel now more than 5 years, since 2019, and where I had the global CR product, which is the home of smart and innovative transport products at Kuehne Nagel. Happy to be here.
Excellent. Leo, how about you, sir?
Yes, my name is Leo Qvarnstrom. I'm based in Los Angeles, and I'm responsible for the Sea Air product in the Americas. I've been with the company for 16 years, and all of those have been in air freight.
Excellent. Looking forward to talking about the Sea Air product. Now, in the March edition of Inbound Logistics magazine, we talked about trends in global logistics, and we opened with a focus on disruptions to the supply chain. And as contributors to that article, you gentlemen talked about supply chain disruptions really becoming more the norm rather than the unpredictable one-off event. Is that really the case facing the logistics industry as we know it right now?
After what the world has been through in the past 5 years, we all know that supply chains are very exposed to market disruption. From the more traditional disruptions, such as the end of the year peak season like Black Friday or Christmas, to the so-called Black Swan events that in the past were once in a decade, or even once in a lifetime, disruptions now appear to impact us on a much more regular basis.
Okay, then can you elaborate a little bit on the most common potential disruptions that businesses face today?
Yeah, Jeff, so the most common disruptions, I would say, are still weather-related, things like floodings, typhoons, and dense fog, but also things like operation accidents. We've seen the Baltimore bridge incident, of course, things like the Suez Canal that was blocked by a vessel a couple of years ago completely. Then there's other things that affect us, like strikes or changes in the political landscape. Things like wars, unfortunately, or protests. We've seen the war in the Ukraine going on for a long time, war in the Middle East happening, or tension building up, or student protests in Bangladesh is the last one that I remember. Lately, we've also seen unusual peaks in demand that are also affecting the market. There's, for example, when there's new trade tariffs introduced on certain trade lanes, shippers are trying to ship their cargo early in order to avoid the impact of the trade tariffs to their cargo. So this creates unusual high demand suddenly, and that nobody's prepared for. So that creates disruptions in global markets. Also, there's booming completely new business models that are entering the market that create a sudden peak in demand. Quite popular examples are, for example, e-com companies that enter the market with very high volume, very cheap but very high volume products. And that can certainly shake a whole trade lane when they have a new special event going on or special promotions happening. In times like these, we believe it's important to keep any supply chain flexible. Alternative places for your sourcing is absolutely essential. Finding alternative shippers that can provide you with the same quality of product. but also how you transport your goods safely from the production locations to finally the consuming markets. And less exposure to possible disruption will help cargo to move safely and finally to make customers happy. And sea air, as one of the options, can help to diversify and also de-risk supply chains, as it's just an additional option, an additional route how your goods are moving. And that's why we're very proud to have this product in our portfolio.
All right. Now, for anyone unfamiliar with the concept, can you break down some of the key advantages of sea air compared to, say, traditional air freight and ocean freight options?
Yeah, Jeff. So with sea air, we're simply combining sea and air, just as simple as the words sound. And we're offering a new in-between option that stands between the traditional sea freight option and the air freight option. What do we mean by that? So instead of just using one of the modes exclusively on the transport, we're combining sea and air into one transport, half-half. And by doing so, we move faster than pure sea freight, but also with lower cost than pure air freight. It's a little bit like peanut butter and jelly, if you want, great alone, but even better together. So in a nutshell, with sea air, customers have a middle ground, if you will, between the pure sea freight and pure air freight options that would either take too long or are too expensive.
All right. Now, peanut butter and jelly is a great option. Now, the benefits of sea air, while time and cost savings are a benefit, the article also mentioned that there's a reduction in carbon footprint. Can you talk a little bit about how sea air achieves that particular advantage?
Absolutely, Jeff. I mean, I think that's a highlight for a lot of our customers around the globe right now. I'm focusing on the sustainability piece. So air freight comes with a much quicker transit time, but the trade-off is that the price tag compared to sea freight is much, much larger. And by that, you also have a much higher transport emissions in your supply chain. So by combining both sea and air in one mode of transport, we bring the freight halfway to its destination. And since it's flying a shorter distance, we're transporting it more cost effective and with less CO2. Comparing to an all air option, we're saving around 50% CO2 emissions on average.
Wow, that's a healthy savings there. What about trade lane imbalances? Can you go into how sea air leverages trade lane imbalances to create that more efficient and more cost effective solution?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of part of our strategy. We utilize hubs that have a trade deficit, typically importing more cargo than what they're exporting. It's the imbalance of trade that creates this, which provides widely available uplift capacity. We essentially bring cargo from busy export countries to less congested, less busy hubs by sea freight and uplift from there to the final destination.
So we might have some listeners that are unfamiliar with sea air, but it's not exactly a new concept, right? We've seen it come and go and even come back again. Why is sea air now here to stay as an option for businesses?
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. The idea to combine sea and air in a smart way is definitely not new. It's been there a long time, dating back to somewhere around the 1970s when the first routes were explored. Back then, a little bit more, the market and the world was in a different situation. But it was really until the expansion of Dubai as a global hub, the founding of one of the biggest airlines in the region over there around the mid-80s, and then really the opening of China commercially in the 90s, when especially the route from Asia, from China via Dubai by sea air into Europe really started to develop. So that's really the first time when this started to surface and really become a valid option. And at Kuehne Nagel, sea air has really come a long way already. We've seen a new push to the product. I've been with the company now since 2019, and since then, of course, we were going through COVID during that time, where capacity was key, where exactly this disruption in the market has been very apparent to everyone everywhere in the world. And throughout those years, and also the years before, and also after, since then, we've developed new combinations, new destinations, new origins, new routes, such as the routings to go CR through Singapore, Korea, and also our flagship routing, the connection of China through Los Angeles into Europe or South America, which is really delivering massive results and a lot of benefit to customers. So we believe the service is here to stay, because the complexity of the global supply chains will certainly continue to increase, while the disruptions will probably also continue and probably maybe even increase as well. Plus, tools to avoid emissions will become more and more important as we move towards the 2030, which is really a deadline for many customers, or for many players in the market, many companies, to reduce their CO2 footprint. It's just going to get more and more important, we believe.
All right, speaking of those customers, and again, you list a lot of benefits there. When customers come to Kuehne Nagel initially, are they looking for cost savings primarily, or are there other goals in mind? Which of those benefits are they really looking for?
Yeah, that's a good question, Jeff. We've seen a huge uptick in demand from our customers for alternative transport modes compared to what we saw 1 or 2 years ago. This is because shippers are looking for more sustainable options. They're running low on inventory levels, and they're trying to cut costs. At the same time, we're saving a lot of time in the transit, especially in times of the Red Sea closure.
All right. Again, with the customers, who are the typical customers that would use Sea Air? Are they small operations, or are they big operations, or are they somewhere in the middle?
Kuehne Nagel is one of the biggest forwarders in the world. So, of course, we deal a lot with large customers, strategic partners that we have on global level. And many of them have implemented Sea Air as a third mode of transport already. I think the majority of our top 20 air freight customers last year were using Sea Air one way or another somewhere in the world. But that certainly should not shy away anyone from using Sea Air with Kuehne Nagel. Any customer can enjoy this, I guess, very mature and very sophisticated product, and it pays off by every kilo. We love to deal with anyone who is interested in cutting costs, reducing CO2, and saving time. We still have very high ambitions to grow in the product, and every shipment counts, every customer counts. We typically move shipments with 100 kilo and more. Our average order is around 1,500 kilos per shipment. But of course, we're happy to be serving anyone that is interested. We're active across all of the different industries, no matter if it's retail, pharma, automotive customers, high tech, or even perishables. We have a footprint in many of those areas already, and good experience even within the CR product. But of course, as Kuehne Nagel, as a global player, we are quite specialized and have in-depth knowledge of our customers' industries as well. So we love to serve anyone, like I said, that wants to cut costs, reduce CO2, and finally save time.
All right, gentlemen, can you share some real-world case studies of how companies have successfully utilized Sea Air logistics to achieve some of their goals?
So customers are usually in a state either they want to fix something or they want to achieve something when they come to us. When they want to fix something, for example, that would be their air freight spend, because they're super dependent on air freight as a mode of transport. Now, to do this, you can simply shift and take a bold decision, shift all of the movements from air freight to sea freight. Sounds great in terms of cost, but in terms of your supply chain, it's going to make everyone's life very hard. Everyone that is used to using air freight as a mode of transport. So we've seen this many times with customers that they make these big decisions, but then still keep Sea Air as an additional option if they need something that is quicker than ocean, but not yet air freight. That's the part where we usually come in and where we are quite successful with our customers on their journey. The other one that is trying to achieve something is mainly driven by things like CO2 emission reductions. So they ask themselves the question on the corporate strategic level, how do we decarbonize our company? And of course, transportation logistics is usually a big part of emissions in the scope. And there's ways to offset, there's ways to invest money into alternative fuels and things like that. But there's really only one way how we can decarbonize its supply chain by avoiding CO2. And yet again, sea air can be a powerful tool in this case to help achieve CO2 emission savings by simply not creating them in the first place, not by offsetting or not by investing into fuels, but simply by avoiding them in the first place. So that's, I think, two very clear and comprehensive cases that, no matter what the customer's name is, tend to happen again and again.
Right, excellent. Now, if there are shippers out there that want to take advantage of some of those benefits, where can I send them for more information on Sea Air Logistics and Kuehne Nagel?
Anyone with more questions or interest, please check the show notes. We have a direct link there to our Sea Air Kuehne Nagel website. We also have schedules for Sea Air where you can see when it's the next departure, if you want to book your next shipment with us, and a lot of more information there. Contact details for anyone local. Please reach out to us. We will be very happy to serve you.
Excellent. As Robin said, that link will be in the show notes. You can one-click directly to Kuehne Nagel and see the information that they have to offer you. Robin, Knopf, Leo, Qvarnstrom, thank you so much for taking the time out to chat today. I will consider you the peanut butter and jelly of Kuehne Nagel. Thank you again, and best of luck to you and to Kuehne Nagel.
Thanks, Jeff. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeff, for having us.
Inbound Logistics Magazine is the information leader in supply chain and logistics management. Start your free print and digital subscription today by visiting bit.ly/getil. That's bit.ly/get_IL and stay ahead of the 3PL game.
The Inbound Logistics Podcast is a production of Inbound Logistics Magazine. For the most in-depth information around logistics, transportation, and supply chain practices, get your free print and digital subscription at inboundlogistics.com/subscribe. Connect with us via LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube for the most current developments in the industry. If you'd like to leave us some feedback or have a topic you'd like to see covered in a future episode, call our dialogue line at 888-878-3247 or leave us an email at podcast@inboundlogistics.com. I'm your host, Jeff Vita. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time here on the Inbound Logistics Podcast.